Are you interested in smoking foods in your own kitchen, but you're not sure how to get started?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you the Breville Polyscience Smoking Gun and how to make 3 great recipes: a smoked harvest chowder, a smoked black Manhattan, and a smoked salmon Bellini. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. And here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients, techniques, show you new recipes and demos so you can get started or continue on your culinary adventures. And remember, subscribe and ring the bell and you'll get notified of our content. It comes out on Tuesdays. And this week we're going to be talking about a tool that we really enjoy playing around with in the test kitchen, and we're kind of excited to show you what you can do with it. And it's the Breville Polyscience Smoking Gun. So if you've never smoked anything before and you're wondering what to do, or perhaps you're an experienced smoker, you're like, what can this do for me? Scott's going to show you exactly what it is. I just said that twice. Anyway, and then also show you how to use it. We got a lot of great demos coming up. So Scott, maybe we can start off a little bit of what is a smoking gun and how is it different from kind of the traditional wood smoking method that people might be used to?
Sure. So while these do both smoke with wood, a traditional is going to be in a box that is generally hot, above 220 degrees, and you would do long form smoking like brisket, ribs, that kind of stuff. The smoking gun is made for a cold smoke, but it's also made for a quick smoke. So if you wanted to smoke something simple like a cocktail, you're not going to have to fire up your smoker outside and wait for it to get hot and smoky and then put your cocktail in there, right? So I can do this on demand when I need a little bit of smoke flavor to enhance whatever I'm making.
Okay, and exactly how does it work?
So it's actually very simple. I'm going to put it together right now. So this is the smoking gun 2, or the second one they've made. It makes it so much easier to put together. So it's just this part. This comes off. You can clean it out. You can get rid of all of the residue from the smoke. You have this. So this has a little filter in it. And you put it in here, and this is where your wood chips go. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, I just put the wood in there and it just heats it up and does it on its own. And that's not quite right. You put the wood in there. You need to light it with some fire, and then this will pull through the smoke. So I've seen people try to do it and say, oh, this is not working, right? Because it has no element to heat in here. So you're going to have to add some fire. So thankfully we have some here. Cool. Right, so it's that simple. And one of the things that's really great about it is it comes with 4 different types of wood. So when you purchase the smoking gun, you'll get little tiny samples of the wood, and then if you need more, obviously you can purchase more. So the wood ranges from apple wood, cherry wood, mesquite, and hickory. So mesquite and hickory are really the ones that you would do for like meats, that traditional smoke that you would use on meats. Apple and cherry, you could obviously do that with meats as well, but they add a lot to different little things like, let's say, smoking this cream. I want something that's not as intensely smoked as a mesquite or a hickory, so I go with apple wood, and apple kind of accentuates all the flavor, or apple wood accentuates the flavor. And then when I'm doing something with cherries, like the black Manhattan over here, I use cherry wood, right? So you get a little, you can build on the flavors that way. And it's so simple to use. We can show you a few different things. Now let's say you're making a pureed soup, or a soup that has some liquid and you want to add some smoke to it. You could take like a cloche and smoke the top of this chowder here. But you could also take the liquid that is inside of here. Oh, he didn't plug this in for me.
All right, we got a technical difficulty that needs to be plugged in. But while that's happening, so I guess one of the things that I like about the smoking gun is obviously you can do it at home, you can do it in your restaurant, you can do it at your bar. It's really, really flexible. And we're going to show you how to smoke a bunch of things really quickly. But can people, or should people, do a long-term smoke with it if they were inclined to, or is this not intended for that?
A long-term smoke, no. So I'm never going to take a full brisket and then try to use this to cook it. You can add a little bit of flavor to the exterior of things, but you're never going to be able to do a long-term hot smoke with this. You can do cold smokes, like I'm going to do a quick smoked salmon here, so we have some cured salmon here. I'm going to add in the smoke and allow it to sit for a few minutes. You can go longer, so if you want it really smoky, you can allow it to go longer, and it will become more smoky. But you're never going to sit here and cure for 2 hours, 3 hours, because that would take a lot of time, a lot of effort when you could just do it in a regular smoker. So this is for a quick on-demand smoke.
Okay, great.
So it's really simple. When I get my blender up and running, right? I'm just going to get it to a slight vortex here. And then I'm going to add in my wood chips. So place them right in the top. So I'm going to get this going first. So I get a little bit of fire in there. And one thing I do is I always light this and then I turn on my smoking gun, because if you get this too close, it just pulls it through and it will not light. So you can see that there's smoke coming out. Now I'm going to place it in here and allow it to fill with like a really dense smoke. Okay? And then once I get it nice and full, I can throw my cap on and allow it to smoke this way. Now, one thing you can do, and obviously the smoke will clear. Wonderful, there we go. So I can leave it in here, and obviously the longer I leave it in here, the more smoky aroma that the cream will take on. If you go for a very light smoke, the very light smoke will just add almost a richness. There's like a slight umami that comes with adding smoke without having to add that really smoky flavor. So if you just wanted to add a little bit of like complexity and richness, you could absolutely use this to do that. And we have done that. With our chowder, we don't want it to be too smoky, so we add just a slight richness to it. We let this sit for about 5 minutes before we take it out. Now I'm going to change out the chips here, and this was on fire, so I'm going to use a towel to do it, but it's whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But so it's simple to do. You can just take it out. It's pretty cool once you get it out for a few minutes, and then you're able to pop it back in and switch and move on to another type of wood.
Yeah, so we when we were taste testing the chowder, which all of today's recipes will be in the links in the description below. It didn't really taste like you're not like eating a barbecue or anything like that, but it really did add that richness that this gentleman right here.
My name's Scott.
Scott.
So yes,
that Scott was talking about. We need more coffee in the test kitchen today, apparently.
Yeah. So, but if you wanted it to be smokier, that's on you, right? So you allow this to sit in here for longer and allow it to get smokier that way.
Yeah.
So
I love this the way it was.
The next
one
so good. We're going to use, and this is a harvest chowder, so it's a little bit different than a traditional clam chowder. You could obviously switch out the clams. There's whole little neck clams in there with a bunch, rutabaga, celery root, sweet potatoes, so to take away from all like the original flavors and kind of bring it into a new realm, just update chowder a little bit. So here I'm just going to poke a little hole right in, and I'm going to add in my hose here.
Okay, and what type of wood chips did you just add in
this
there?
is hickory, so I want a more intense smoke flavor to my smoked salmon. So this has been cured sugar and salt, and I allow it to get a little bit firm, and obviously the sugar and salt's going to add some flavor to it, and then I'm going to smoke it. And one thing you want to do with these is you leave them for about an hour or so, and they're going to create what's called a pellicle. And the pellicle is just the slight drying of the outside of the proteins, so the smoke can stick more. And this is something that's common in any type of smoking. So whenever you're doing this, you want to get that pellicle on it. So let me light my fire here. And I can get it. And always make sure there's no kink in the hose. And this will fill with a really dense smoke, just like we had before. And I'm just going to let this sit for just a moment.
Okay.
All right. So what we did here is like I said, we just did the the quick cure on it, and then I hit it with some smoke and allow that smoke to stick to the outside. The longer you allow it to sit in here, the smokier it's going to be. So we just need a little bit, and these are already done. So we have some creme fraiche on there with a little bit of dill and some bellinis. So if I open this up, this is nice and quick, and you get a little bit of smoke on them.
I like this one too.
Trim this down just a little bit for you, Janie.
Okay.
And then I'll put it back in here to finish smoking all these. If I put this right on the Bellini, and it's as simple as that. You can really go for about 30 seconds to a minute. If you have a good pellicle on there, you're going to get some smoke flavor. So a little bit of creme fraiche, and some fennel fronds. It's as simple as that.
Ooh, that looks great.
So I'm going to switch out my wood chips again. Yep, it's not even hot. So sprinkle that out.
It's really nice.
It's nice, it's simple, and it's a great way, especially if you're doing a dinner party, you get a little, you know, break out the smoking gun and impress some of your friends. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to move this out of the way, and if you want to move the cocktail into the
I
middle.
will. So a few weeks ago, we did do another smoke cocktail. We did the Dalgona foam, and people loved it. It tastes so good, and it was just a really fun thing to make. So we thought, you know what, let's smoke another cocktail. Let's have more fun with it.
And one thing that we didn't really get to do with the Dalgona foam is if you make the cocktail extremely cold, the colder the cocktail, the more that the smoke is going to sit on the surface of that cocktail. So this is a very cold cocktail. I poured it right before, and hopefully it's cold enough that when I lift this off, the smoke will sit right on top. So when you serve it, they should still have a bit of smoke lingering on top. Cool. You can also smoke the shaker if you want to.
Okay.
So if you have a cocktail shaker, you can put the smoke right in there and you can shake it in there. That's going to make it very smoky. Very, very smoky. So depending on what level of smokiness you want, you can really gauge in how much you need.
Cool.
So right here we have some cherry wood. Right, I'm just going to put it in there. And it's so simple. We've done 3 different recipes. Yeah. I got some. Put this right on top. Okay. Just like we've done everything else, let it fill really well.
All right, and I remember you had mentioned there was something about the cherries on top of that cocktail.
Yeah, so the cherry is very similar to the salmon. Once you let them dry for a little bit, they're going to get a right. They're going to get a little bit of dry skin on them. So I like to make that garnish a little bit ahead of time and allow it to just air dry, so that almost makes like a pellicle, which will then hold on to the smoke. So if I lift this up, right, really beautiful, and the smoke should linger a little bit there on top of the cocktail, and it looks really great, right?
It does.
So Janie, if you want to hammer that entire thing down,
all right, will do. This will be great for my concentration.
And while you're doing that, I can open this up, and you can still see how much smoke has been in here the entire time, right? So it's not like it dissipates or goes anywhere. If you seal it up, you're going to have smoke in there for a long time. So this cream is ready to be, is ready to be used in our chowder recipe there. So there's a lot of different cool things you can do. And then let's say if you were making, like I said, a full puree or pureed soup, you could absolutely just smoke the entire soup in there hot and have it ready to go. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to add smoke without having to break out the big smoker.
Yeah. So we've kind of shown you like 3 different like appetizer, soup, cocktail ways to do smoking, but I think the possibilities here are definitely infinite. So I hope that you have fun with it. If you do smoke something or you wanted to see us smoke something, leave it in the comments below. And you can see most of these recipes, all the videos will be up later this week, so that'll be really fun too. And from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you get notified when we drop a new video.
To get today's recipes and all of our recipes, remember to go to blog.modernistpantry.com where you'll get recipes, ask a chefs, tips and tricks, and more.
And if you haven't already, tell a friend so they know what's going on here at WTF.
And as always, to get any of the ingredients you saw today, you can go to modernistpantry.com to shop.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen helping you create memorable and magical experiences.